Instead of revolutionaries like Moses or Gandhi or Jesus, Madison, Washington, America's children now are taught to revere revolutionaries like Che or Mao or Castro. Well, let's take a look at who these people really are. Che. Che, the guy on the t-shirt that all the kids love now. He said revolution was a lot of fun. And, quote, I feel my nostrils dilate, savoring that acrid smell of gunpowder and blood of the enemy. That's who your son or daughter is having on their t-shirt. He admitted to shooting people in the back of the head as, quote, a matter of course, but says he didn't turn into a cold-blooded killing machine until Castro took over. Castro put him in charge of the La Cabana prison, where he oversaw the killings of up to 2,000 people, executed without trial or due process. That's Che. Oh, but it gets worse. How about Fidel Castro? His firing squads murdered pregnant women. His Coast Guard machine gunned mothers with children that were trying to escape on rafts. His regime made Cuban women into the most suicidal women in the world, tripling their pre-revolution suicide rate. He tried to destroy New York City 2 times. Did you know that? Once, of course, with nuclear missiles. In 1962, he planned to set off 500 kilos of TNT in stores and Grand Central Terminal on a busy shopping day. Oh, we just love Castro now, don't we? His slogan, please listen. Please listen. His slogan was revolution first, elections later. He locked up groups such as homosexuals in concentration camps during the 1960s. They were subject to medical and political re-education. Then we have the chairman, Chairman Mao. He sets up Chinese gulags, an empire of slave labor camps filled with poorly fed counter-revolutionaries. In case you don't know what a counter-revolutionary is, to somebody who respects Chairman Mao, that would be people like the Tea Party people. You are against the people in power. That's a counter-revolutionary to revolutionaries. He sent political opponents to reform camps, humiliated them in struggle sections, and declared the worst among the offenders should be shot. Those campaigns took hundreds of thousands of lives, many by suicide. Mao said, quote, people who try to commit suicide don't attempt to save them. China is such a populous nation, it is not as if we can't do without a few people, end quote. He said, quote, we are prepared to sacrifice 300 million Chinese for the victory of the world revolution. Scholars estimate that 16.5 to 40 million people died during the Great Leap Famine, which was mostly caused, see if this sounds familiar, by the implementation of collectivization policies that reduced incentive and output of food. All told, Mao was responsible for well over 70 million deaths in peacetime. More than any other 20th century leader. Do you hear it? That's Mao. You don't read about these people anymore. You don't have your children study these people anymore. Why is that? No. We're only teaching our kids that these guys are cool. Is that because there are very powerful people with agenda that worship these radicals? White House Communications Director Anita Dunn, standing in front of a group of graduating high school students and praising him.
2 of my favorite political philosophers, Mao Zedong and Mother Teresa, not often coupled with each other, but the 2 people that I turn to most.
Che. Our kids don't know who he is. Cold-blooded killer. Anita, the latest on the list that now worships Mao Zedong. Then we have Valerie Jarrett. Valerie Jarrett. Do we have the Valerie Jarrett sound, please? Here's Valerie Jarrett.
I don't know how many of you guys know Van Jones. Van Jones is... Ooh.
This is his house, apparently.
Van Jones, all right. So, Van Jones, we were so delighted to be able to recruit him into the White House. We've been watching him really for, he's not that old, but for as long as he's been active out in Oakland and all of the ways that he has, creative ideas that he has.
Stop. Anytime she tells you that she didn't know who she was, you remember that. Oh, I don't know. I didn't know who he was. I've been watching him ever since he's been in Oakland. This man is a committed communist revolutionary. He also loves Mao. Look at how many people we have already have in common with good old Mao. You feel comfortable with the government of the United States being run by people who idolize and look to this man, where is he? This man, most often. How did we get here? I mean, I remember growing up, one of my heroes was George Washington. They used to be our founding fathers. Now we don't even talk about them. They used to be explorers, and dare I say it, spiritual leaders. Kids growing up in America, we used to admire people like Joe DiMaggio or Lou Gehrig. But you don't have to go back to the 40s to remember a time when the country just had a different feel to it. When communists weren't revered, they were reviled. I have to tell you, I'm tired, and I think you are too. We work hard all day. Our country is on fire. The world is on fire. We come home after fighting our day just to be able to get home in time for dinner, to spend time with our kids. Then you sit down and you hear about what our kids learned in school that day, or the indoctrination video that they were shown, or that somebody from the administration was telling them how wonderful Mao Zedong was. Who hired all of these people? Who hired them? Let's clean up the mess. We don't need blame. We just need to unite. This is not who we are. We do the hard thing. We do the tough thing. And then when we're gone, our children will tell our grandchildren the stories of what we did at this time to set our country right again and to regain our honor. And maybe, if we're lucky, someone in that room will say, wow, where are the Americans like that anymore? The revolutionaries we should be teaching our children to revere, next. In a show about the history of revolutions, I think it's only wise that we take a few minutes to point out the revolutionaries who we can actually ask our children to grow up to be like. Take a look. Let me show you a group of radicals. These are revolutionaries. They were revolutionaries. Right to bear arms, liberty, freedom of the press, self-determination, thrift. These guys were called traitors, dangerous, awful. This thought was unspeakable. This was all new thought. They were revolutionaries for freedom. They fought tyranny and gigantic government and oppression because they thought there's a better way. They were willing to sacrifice their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. They overcame. They defeated the most powerful government on the face of the earth. But how did they do it? How did they do it? Did they do it in the classrooms through slow indoctrination? Did they do it in the shadows? Did they do it with special interest groups and unions? No. They took a stand because they believed in something. They believed in freedom. They believed in you, and they believed in me. They believed in the freedom to assemble, to say whatever you want, freedom to practice any religion you wish without fear of the government. And they did it all without using indoctrination. Why? because the truth these radicals understood was self-evident. They did it by speaking with something that Thomas Paine said was common sense. They'd be proud of the Tea Party movement. You know, they did the first Tea Party movement. Of course, they did it knowing that there would probably be a need for another one, but they hoped that there wouldn't be. In their wisdom, the new freedom would eventually come under attack. They knew it. It was a grand experiment. They didn't think it would even last 25 years. Well, they were wrong on that, but now we come to a crossroads. It is under attack by revolutionaries of a different kind. Still revolutionaries, still radicals. And only one is going to be right in the end. This group of radicals or this group of radicals. Oh, these guys far outnumber the last guys. Make no mistake, these revolutionaries are trying to overthrow the system that most Americans hold dear. They will tell you that I'm lying, that I'm whatever. Do your own homework. Listen to their own words on tape. They cannot deny what they have said. They've said it on tape. We play it. These are just the most recent people that we have on tape, expressing their disdain for the free market, expressing their love for Mao and Chavez and the redistribution of wealth. It's un-American. So you need to choose sides, because it can't, this doesn't work, guys. This doesn't work. America's trying to live right here. You can't. It's either this side or this side. And you cannot remain neutral, because if you remain neutral, it's going to be locked in place by whichever side has more desire. Final thoughts next. America, we must be aware of the intentions of the people who have a direct impact on shaping the course of this nation. And we must teach our children about those who have made this country great, not necessarily what it is today, so they can grow up to want to be more like them, grow up to be the highest self that they can. A special thanks to Radical-in-Chief author Stanley Kurtz and Shadow Party co-author Richard Poe for their commentary tonight. From New York, good night, everyone.